Today, I've been captured. I've been tied up by this beast tribe. What are these crazy creatures planning to do with me? Do they have some sort of issue with me? They did capture me quick. Man, they sure are strong. What are they planning? Do you think they see me as an enemy? What are you guys planning to do with that guillotine? I swear these puns aren't on purpose. Oh god, wait, no. Today, we'll be talking about the Sahagin. The Sahagin. They claim the Indigo Deep as their territory and live within its depths, often exploring the waters to hunt and to protect their territory, which happens to both be why they attack any ship that passes through their waters, grabbing sailors and dragging them beneath the waves, like some sort of really ugly mermaid. There's quite a lot to learn about the Sahagin, so we'll do that with our usual questions, starting with, what's their physical characteristics? As expected from an ocean-dwelling creature, the Sahagin are built for life under the waves, with webbed feet and fingers along with numerous fins on their bodies. They also, unsurprisingly, have gills, because breathing is important. The Sahagin claim to be experts in underwater combat, but we know that can't be the case, because there is a god and underwater combat isn't a thing in this universe. Our fishy friends also claim that they're expert combatants on the land too, and this is very true. They are far more than meets the eye. Yes, the Sahagin have a sleek, slender, and quite wiry build, but this is very much like most anime heroes. And just like those anime heroes, their physical form doesn't portray their incredible strength. The Sahagin's musculature structure is completely different from any of the other races. Their muscles are best described as springs that they are able to store an incredible amount of tension into, which allows them to do some quite unexpected feats, such as exploding out of the water to leap onto a ship's deck, or thrusting their weapons so fast that it's a mere blur. It is hypothesized they've developed this adaptation so they have an explosive burst of speed when they are hunting for prey underwater. It just happens to translate really well on ground in combat situations. Speaking about hunting, what do they hunt? What do they eat? Well, exactly what you'd expect a fish monstrosity that has the face straight out of a Lovecraftian novel to eat. Meat. Primarily that of any fish and shellfish. How do you think they eat these fish? Raw? Live? Slowly biting chunks off of it while it wriggles in pain? Supping and sustaining on their suffering just as much as they do on their flesh? If you said yes, you probably need some help. The Sahagin have some class. Though, yes, they do sometimes enjoy eating some foods raw, for the most part, they cook their meals before consuming it. And they're quite inventive in how they do that. Since fire doesn't do so well covered in water, they use underwater hydrothermal vents to boil their food. They also don't just eat meat. Though the bulk of their diet is fish, they do sometimes enjoy wrapping their meals in various seaweeds and are incredibly fond of fruit. Their children are especially fond of the sweet Lenosian oranges. And Fun fact, their children can't breathe underwater, and that's why we see them so often on land. Adventurer, did you know that when you go and attack the Sahagin in western Lenosia, you're actually assaulting a nursery that may be filled with children? The Sahagin establish spawning grounds and nurseries on dry land. But why can't their children immediately breathe underwater? It seems like a really strange adaptation. Well, according to the Sahagin, it's thanks to their god. Moving us to our next question. What's their religion and god? Well, the Sahagin believe in Leviathan, lord of the whirl. Whirl being a spiral, which is half the reason his symbol is a rolling whirlpool. Boo! But let's talk about their faith. The Sahagin believe the world was once a wasteland, without an ocean or sea, a dry rock that somehow had really thirsty creatures living on it. One day the gods looked upon this star and saw how everything desperately thirsted, wanting them satisfied. They entreated Leviathan to cover the star in his damp, moist water. The Lord of the Whirl answered, and with his engorged body, created a massive flood, soaking the world. He filled every hole with his liquid, but by doing so, he spent every last drop of his essence, collapsing from the exhaustion. When a certain group of fish, happily swimming and gargling on Leviathan's gift, looked upon their now dying savior, they were deeply saddened. Thus, they decided to do something drastic. They sacrificed themselves to grant him new vitality, giving him their life essence. With his strength restored, Leviathan stood erected once more, but he mourned for the sea creatures that gave their life for him. Thus, in their honor, he bestowed a divine boon upon the fish that still lived, the boon that granted them arms, legs, and high intelligence. Leviathan named these chosen the Sahagin, but warned them that the blessing came with a price. From now on, they must go to land to lay their eggs. To help with this, Leviathan did just a little bit of genocide and sent a massive tidal wave to crash upon western Lenosia, wiping away the soil and the handful of people living there to make room for his children's new spawning ground. Pleased with his work, Leviathan disappeared below into the depths, leaving the waters to the control of the Sahagin. And much like the other beast tribes, the story of their god has greatly impacted their culture and society. So on to our next question. What's their culture and society like? The Sahagin live in a matriarchal, only the queen can poon monarchy. This woman, the mother of all Sahagin, is called the Indigo Matriarch. She lives in the absolute lap of luxury in her palace on the bottom of the ocean. Here she places decrees and rules her society. The only time she leaves her palace is when she entertains suitors during spawning season. She travels to the spawning ground and hands out clutches of eggs to the males she deems worthy. How are these eggs fertilized?
What happened in there? Whoa, God, yuck, yuck, yuck.
That's disgusting!
The few lucky males given eggs earn the title of Clutch Father, an incredibly prestigious title. However, this title also comes with many responsibilities. They must now stay on land to protect and raise the eggs until they hatch and have grown enough to have their gills and fins fully developed for life underwater. During this time with his children, the clutch father also teaches the young everything he knows and what they will need to flourish in life. Swimming, fishing, hunting, fighting, and such. Within a nursery, the oldest siblings who hatch a little earlier will also help and teach the younger hatchlings. Due to all these interactions, the Sahagin within a clutch tend to grow very close to one another and stay together when they leave the nursery for the waters. Blood and familial bonds are incredibly important to the Sahagin. So important that being considered part of their family is the highest honor a Sahagin can bestow upon an outsider. Now, most Sahagin are born male. Their birth ratio is perhaps having one female born for every 10 males. But that's being conservative. It's likely closer to 1 in every 20 or 30. Which results in female births being incredibly important and a great honor for the clutch father. Each and every female is a candidate to become the new indigo matriarch, which is why when a female is born, she is immediately sent off to live in the indigo matriarch's palace deep under the ocean. Here she is groomed alongside her sisters as a candidate for future queen. Eventually a new queen will be selected among them. But how? We don't know. We know that the most dominant female is generally selected by the queen to become the new queen, but we don't know how they become the most dominant. We can only guess. By the way, the Sahagin are a sexually dimorphic species. This is a male Sahagin, and this is a female Sahagin. When the current indigo matriarch can no longer lay eggs, her duty to her people is complete, and she just ends her own life. No, I'm serious. She picks a new queen and then kills herself. That's their culture. If she ain't pumping out babies, she ain't fit to be living. As for the rest of the females that aren't selected, we don't know what happens to them. Do they strike out and try and start a new Sahagin society? Perhaps they're sacrificed to Leviathan. Because yes, the Sahagin do yearly offerings of sacrifice to their god. This is one of the main reasons they raid ships that enter their waters, and why they try to take the people on board alive. If you recall, they believe their ancestors sacrificed themselves to give life to Leviathan, and the Sahagin remember their ancestors' sacrifice by sacrificing other sentient races, even before they started summoning their primal. Ritualistic sacrifices is just a part of their culture. But yeah, that's most of what we know about their society and culture. Now for the final question. What's their naming conventions? In order to understand their naming, we need to understand just a little bit about their language. To us, the Sahagin's language sounds like an incoherent cacophony of spluttering, gurgling, and hissing. It's pretty much impossible for us to understand them. This is because their language has developed under very different circumstances to that of all the other races. Their language has developed to be said and heard underwater. It also means they hear sound differently from all the other races. They do not have ears. Instead, they have specialized patches of skin under their arms. These patches feel the vibrations in water and translates that into language. They also use these to feel the vibrations in the air when you're talking around them, but it's a lot more difficult for them. And now we can move on to their names. Each Sahagin is given a short, unique name that ends in an extended sound. A male Sahagin is named by their clutch father, whereas a female Sahagin is named by the indigo matriarch. We do not know any female Sahagin names, but we can assume they are similar to the male names. Example male names are Su, Yar, Mu, and Hu. However, what I have shown you here isn't correct. The Sahagins do not have a writing component to their language. All written Sahagin names are written by how the Eorzean races hear it, in the air, and how the Eorzean races think it would be spelt. Remember, their names are supposed to be heard underwater, so they actually might be quite different. As for the Sahagin's last name, they don't have any. No family name or clan name, just their given name. Though sometimes they may refer to themselves as X spawn of clutch father Y. So for example, Few spawn of clutch father Nov. And well, that's it. That's what there is to know about the Sahagin. I hope you enjoyed. Now that I've somehow Deus Ex Machina'd my way out of that situation, it's time to move on. Let's take out our map and carry on with our previous plan to travel to the Dravanian hinterlands. The current location of the... Wait, what? How did I get to the 12's Wood? Huh. I guess that means I'll be doing the Sylphs next. But for now, goodbye my friends, and have a great day.